on the one story that has riveted the nation. Riveted not in a pleasant way, but in a deeply disturbing way, viewers. And let me tell you that the manner in which the investigation is being conducted, the fact that so much time has elapsed since the death of Shraddha, there are concerns, viewers. There are concerns that this case may not end in a conviction. Now, while we are all shocked to hear the grisly details of how Aaftab allegedly dismembered Shraddha's life, and while we are all convinced of his alleged guilt, this is by no means an open and shut case. It's not as if Aaftab, the man on your screens, is filmed murdering Shraddha. This crime of passion, viewers, alleged crime of passion, is so well disguised behind layers of deception and diabolism that it might be years before the police can unearth that convincing evidence, that foolproof evidence that will nail conclusively Aaftab. There are also, viewers, there are also a growing number of unanswered questions. And these are born out of the fact that this brute, this alleged brute, has been so calculating, so thorough in covering his tracks that he might actually convince the justices of his innocence. Viewers, several legal experts have told Times Now that the police's case hangs on a easily retractable confession statement. We all know on a daily basis, viewers, that the police is feeding through its many different agencies information to the media. The media is lapping it out. Times Now is bringing you updates that we are getting through our sources in the police. But you all know, viewers, that none of us have been able to actually lay our hands even on the confession statement. Is there even one? We don't know, viewers. The police, after all, haven't been able to recover even the murder weapons. Reportedly an 18-inch knife or cleaver, and even Shraddha's body, that dismembered body, has not been conclusively recovered. Yes, it is a fact that the police claim to have recovered some skeletal remains from the forest in Mehrauli, given that the crime was committed reportedly in May. It will be an uphill task to try and recover DNA material that hasn't degraded to such an extent that it won't even make for a convincing match. Yes, we do know that the police have collected DNA swabs from Shraddha's father. But we don't know about the quality of the recovered DNA from either the crime site or, viewers, this Mehrauli garbage tip. We don't know. The elements, viewers, in India are brutal. The sun shines harshly, especially when it comes to the outdoors. And the monsoon, viewers, turns a vast swath of our country into open pools. Remember, viewers, Aaftab has also reportedly used very, very powerful chemicals to sanitize his home, the supposed scene of the crime, to get rid of any traces of body fluid or other biological evidence that can prove that Shraddha was indeed murdered there, where the police claim this crime has happened. There remains no CCTV footage of Aaftab even carrying the reportedly dismembered parts of Shraddha's body to the garbage tip in Mehrauli. All we know is that the police have led him, as you can see in those pictures, to this particular densely wooded area, walked him around, and he has supposedly pointed out where he dumped the remains. Now, if he's done it at night, viewers, it will be very difficult for him to remember accurately. Now, viewers, perhaps realizing what they're up against and the fact that we are also being told by our sources in the police that he's not very cooperative. Add to that the layers of deception. The police are now hoping to subject Aaftab to a narco test. Now, narco test, viewers, at the best of times, is an arguably suspect methodology. Its weight in court is also debated under the law. Nonetheless, viewers, this is what the police told us today. Let's try and play that out for you. We spoke to Sampath Rao Patil a short while back. I'm going to try and pull that up, but viewers, just pay attention to what the police says now. Listen to this.
इनिशियली जो श्रद्धा के पिताजी है वो 6 तारीख के हमारे पास उन्होंने एप्लीकेशन दिया था, अर्जी दिया था। वो अर्जी के तौर पर उनके पिताजी का वो जो लड़की का पिताजी उनके बयान दर्ज करके हमने सू मोटो मिसिंग दाखिल किया था। उसके बाद में जो मिसिंग का इन्वेस्टिगेशन है वो हमारे स्पेशल ब्रांच के ऑफिसर है एपीएस सानब, उनको मैंने दे दिया था और उन्होंने पिताजी का स्टेटमेंट वापस पूछताछ किया था। उसके बाद में जो लड़की मिसिंग उसका मोबाइल डिटेल्स, जो आफ्ताब लड़का उसका मोबाइल डिटेल्स, बैंक स्टेटमेंट्स, उसका बचपन का जो दोस्त है लक्ष्मण नाडर उसके स्टेटमेंट, हमने बैंक डिटेल्स निकाला है लड़की का, लेकिन उसमें ऐसा है कि 18 मई को एक बार 50,000 एक बार 4,000 ऐसा 2 बार ट्रांजैक्शन हुआ है।
Viewers, while the admissibility of revelations under a narco test remain a matter of debate, the police are now convinced that their survey of the Mehrauli garbage tip will yield the desired evidence, and we have been actually tracking these forays, these surveys by the police along with Aaftab to this densely wooded area. Watch this report from the ground.
श्रद्धा मर्डर केस में अब जांच तेज हो गई है। अब दिल्ली पुलिस की टीम लगातार इस बात की पड़ताल कर रही है कि आखिर जो आफताब ने शव के टुकड़े किए थे, उन टुकड़ों को इस मेहरौली के जंगल में किस किस जगह पे रखा था। इसके साथ साथ जिस औजार की बात कही जा रही है, जो मर्डर वेपन था, उसको उसने कहां छुपा के रखा था। जरा इस जंगल की दूसरी तरफ आप नजर डालिए, आपको एक तालाब नुमा एक जंगल भी दिखेगा जिसके अंदर पानी पूरा भरा हुआ है। ऐसे में सवाल यह भी है कि क्या आफताब ने इन लाश के टुकड़ों को इस पानी के अंदर डाल दिया होगा। तो ऐसे में यह कैसे पता चलेगा कि लाश के टुकड़े कहां हैं, और यहां से उन टुकड़ों को बरामद करना बेहद ही मुश्किल काम होने वाला है।
Now viewers, as I told you, since there is nothing really on paper, and perhaps the first opportunity will be presented tomorrow, where the police will actually put something down on paper, and that will be via remand note when they seek to extend the custody, Aaftab's custody. You can see him, he's in jail, and we are told that some of his other inmates who are with him, the 2 or 3 others, are quite scared of him because apparently he's a brooding, menacing presence. Though he slept very peacefully, they are a bit unnerved. Now, viewers, let's just talk a little bit about the admissibility of revelations under a narco test, which remain a matter of debate, and the police are for now convinced that they can get him to say things in this narco test that he perhaps has not told them when they have questioned him. But viewers, in the past, and I would have loved to pull out actually details for you about the debate in legal circles of narco tests, but I don't quite have that here. But we will introduce it via our panel of experts in just a few moments. But the fact is, viewers, and let me just tell you this, we might be in a situation where either we will be working with a very, very specious theory that will be put out by the police about his involvement, or viewers, the police will be constantly filing charge sheet after charge sheet, taking more and more time from the court to try and buffer their case. That's where many people are today, and that would really be a travesty. The police are clearly going to need all the forensic help they can get. A lot has been done by Aaftab to cover his tracks. We have told you how, viewers, he's completely cleaned out his home, how he has used a potent cocktail of chemicals, acids, etc. to completely swab, sanitize his apartment dwellings. And there are some material evidences that are required. And I just want to open this up, and let me just go straight across to our panel tonight. Ujjwal Nikam, he requires, of course, no introduction to you, viewers. He distinguished himself as the lead lawyer for the prosecution in the 2611 case, and his service to this nation will always be saluted. Yashwarvardhan Azad, former IPS officer, is also here with us. Zulfikar Memon, yet another lawyer who is also extremely experienced. We have Abha Singh, who's an activist and a lawyer, knows criminal law inside out. Advaita Kala, an author, public intellectual. Let me first begin with you, Mr. Ujjwal Nikam. You know, many people today believe this is not the kind of open and shut case that we were prosecuting against, you know, the Pakistani terror groups that came across the border 2611, 2008 and carried out those attacks. There was so much material evidence of them running around. There was CCTV footage. This is a completely different ball game with an individual who is so diabolical that he has been able to cover his tracks with the minutest care. How do we know that the police will be able to crack this case on the back of what we are being told is a confession?
No, I don't think that police is going to rely only upon the so-called confession of Aaftab before the police, because that is not a legal admissible evidence, number one. But no doubt, whatever the revelation which Aaftab is giving to the investigating agency, police would like to investigate further. Now, it appears that the entire case rests on the circumstantial evidence. Now, it is a very settled principle that police will require to collect pieces of the circumstances to connect the accused with the crime. Now, according to my experience, it is not necessary that corpus delicti must be found. But if investigation arrives at a conclusion that the accused had committed the crime, then they will require to find out what are the circumstances which connect the accused with the crime. Number one is about the motive behind the killing of Shraddha. Number two is how he had killed. Now, no doubt the police are trying to find out certain the dead body parts of the Shraddha. Now, the forensic evidence would play a very vital role in the crime. Now, what you are talking with the police officer about the narcotic test and all these things, let me tell you very frankly that narcotic test is not a legal admissible evidence. It is only aid to the investigating agency to find out whether the accused revelation is correct or not, so police can rope their further investigate the matter. But let me tell you very frankly that this is the biggest challenge to Delhi police to find out, and there is a certain pieces of circumstances because both were staying in one house, so last seen together. Once the police would establish that lastly the deceased Shraddha was seen with the accused alive, Shraddha was seen lastly alive in the company of the accused, that is Aaftab, then the burden shifts on the Aaftab, what he had done it. So it is a very important theory of law seen together. Now, admittedly, Shraddha and Aaftab were staying in one house. They must have been seen by the neighbors on the last occasion. And the police will require to find out that who had seen lastly alive Shraddha in the company of Aaftab. So I think it's a very good challenging case. And I have conducted such number of the circumstantial evidence case. In one case, police didn't find the corpus delicti also. But we have established that the accused has committed the murder. And we have shifted the burden on the shoulder of the accused. In very exceptional cases, the burden goes on the accused also. Because there is a certain provision under section 106 of the Indian Evidence Act and the burden goes on the accused. So I think, and I always believe that when case rests on the circumstantial evidence, it is more important than the eyewitness account. Because human being may tell lie, but circumstances do not. Because circumstances are contemporary in nature and they are contemporary in question with the incident. Because the man has certain motive, but circumstances don't have the motive. So I think this is a good case. Police have already cracked down the case. They have they have arrested the accused. And what you said about the remand report, let me tell you very clearly, in Gulshan Kumar matter case, I have conducted that matter. And our contention was that the remand report is not a matter of investigation. And the investigating agency should not disclose the minutes of all their investigation. Most of the time, the investigating agency comes a very blunder mistake. They disclose all the material in the remand report and the accused take the advantage. So, remand report is meant only for why they want a custody of an accused for a particular period. So, the Delhi police, very good police,
okay,
they will take proper care. That is what I believe.
Well, that's the abiding hope. Of course, viewers, we must all remember that the Palghar police also had an opportunity to get into the case but didn't quite wake up in time. Even when a complaint was filed, they called, in fact, Aaftab. They questioned him and they were convinced and they let matters go. It was only after that that the Delhi police got into it, and that delay could also prove extremely critical. Now, we are told, for example, that Aaftab used to apply makeup on Shraddha's severed head, that he used to look at it every day when it was in the freezer, etc., and reminisce about his relation. All of this, viewers, where is it coming from actually? It's coming from police sources who are telling us that that's what he's been saying, and then we're also getting contradictory information to say that he's not cooperative. So Abha Singh, when there is so much variation in what we hear, it's becoming very difficult to even believe what we hear, let alone report it.
Absolutely, absolutely, Rahul, because if you just remember the recently concluded judgment of the Supreme Court in the Chawla rape case, Supreme Court absolutely blew apart the investigation that was done by Delhi police, and it put the whole thing on Delhi police that they had faltered, left so many loopholes that the rapists, the abductors of that young girl, the death penalty was set aside. So I am absolutely sure that going by the track record of so many cases where conviction, and as it is, the conviction rate is so poor in this country, even today Sheena Bora's case has not reached the logical conclusion. Here, as it is, they have delayed the case for so long. 18 pieces of the cut pieces of Shraddha have already been dispersed, and only they have been managed to find the bones. So it is necessary to prove that the body was of Shraddha, because Aaftab has been using her Insta account to show that she's been alive for 2 more months, and when his lawyers come, they will try to say that she left him and went away. So it is very necessary that the corpse is put into picture. The forensics are absolutely perfect, because the first thing they're going to say, the defense is going to say that she went away on her own, we don't know. So that is very important, because till the time these things are put together. Also, what is important is that the knife which was used to dismember her body, where is that? That has not been recovered till now. There has been a long time between Mumbai and Delhi. The case has been being that whether Mumbai police is going to look into it or Delhi police. So precious time has been lost, and lot of forensic evidences could have been destroyed. So I feel it's time for police to pull up their socks and do a good case, so that at least the conviction is 100% in this.
Okay, let me bring in Mr. Azad. Mr. Azad, obviously the police is going to work over time. This story or this case or this sordid saga has become almost a national obsession. Everyone's been watching this case. So obviously the eyes are on the police. The police feel pressure to deliver here. But the fact of the matter is that we don't have the murder weapon. We possibly don't even have eyewitnesses who saw this couple together just before the incident. We have friends who say they had completely lost touch with Shraddha, so we don't know what day the murder took place. We don't have vital parts of the corpse. We are even told that it might take 2 or 3 weeks to extract the DNA, and we don't even know whether the tissues have degraded to the point where it becomes almost impossible to extract a proper sample. In the absence of this, how is the police hoping to put this together? You've been, of course, a police officer. You probably know how this works. How does it work?
It works very well, Rahul. And let me tell you that in terms of national obsession, there was this case of Anupama Gulati in Dehradun about 12 years back, in which she was cut into 72 pieces.
Yeah.
We also have the Tandoor Kand, and both these guys were ultimately brought to jail. Now the question is, in this particular case, I'm happy Mr. Ujjwal Nikam started it with the prosecution part, and he talked about circumstantial evidence in great detail. There are two other things. One is, of course, is also mens rea, the criminal intent, which is clearly visible by the kinds of things he has used to obliterate any kind of evidence in his house, you know, from surgical gloves to the kind of chemicals he has used. And third is the hard physical evidence. The question is, in this particular case, whatever said and done, it's under the 27 Evidence Act, जिसको हम हिंदी में कहते हैं निशानदेही, उसके निशानदेही पे ये 10 या 15 human bones मिले हैं. And it's not a question. The Delhi police will definitely not rely on his confession, because this man is a hardened, cold-blooded criminal and described as psychiatrist as a real diabolical character who's deranged. You know, it's really a matter of depravity. But you know, the investigation is evolving. DNA sampling today, which has 4 stages, has ultimately connected criminals even after 35 years. Mind you, even one of the latest things which has happened in America is after 25 years. So, you know, and mind you, again, for getting this evidence, it was the forensic experts who had gone, collected it with the year, given it to the police, and the police is now going to send it back to the FSL. So, one, with the swabs taken of the dad and getting it from either nails or bones or any of these parts is definitely in the offing. I agree with Abhaji when she says that the weapon of murder has not been recovered. That is very true. The skull has not been recovered. But as far as the DNA sampling is done and the matching is clear, it is clear that it is that woman, Shraddha. Now, there are a number of friends who are ready to give the statement as to when they last saw her. The mobiles have disappeared. There is a tremendous lot of circumstantial evidence. Now, the police has got, yes, is going to take further remand from the court, because there are many things which have to be corroborated. If the weapon of murder and if the skull is also found, I think the case will be on the right track.
Big if.
It of course requires a tremendously strong prosecution to prosecute the case. But I think DNA mapping in this case is very, very critical, and that is the one I'm waiting for.
Well, that is the one you're waiting for, but we're also hearing from the police that they used at least this individual allegedly. Now, viewers, one has to use the word allegedly before everything, because I haven't seen a charge sheet as yet. Neither have we seen the confession statement. Neither have we seen any other certifiable evidence that has been given. There are random WhatsApp conversations which amount to nothing. Other channels will put some nonsense out to try and sensationalize this case, but what do we actually have? We have source-based information. We have an alleged confession. I don't even know if it's before a magistrate as of now. We do not have a body. We do not have the murder weapon. We do not have CCTV. We do not have witnesses. So Advaita Kala, I don't know. There is optimism. The professionals know obviously much more. Ujjwal Nikam, as I told you, viewers, is a crack lawyer, absolutely top-notch, can use even the minutest evidence against a particular accused. Yashovardhan Azad is one of our most experienced police officers. They know what they're talking about. But Advaita Kala, what do you believe?
I mean, there's an utter state of despondency, isn't there? Because just very recently you had the Kiran Negi case, which Ms. Abha Singh also referred to, wherein after so many years, after being given the death penalty by the Sessions Court, by the High Court, they get to the Supreme Court and they're completely acquitted. So the message that goes out to the women of this country is that nobody killed or raped Kiran. And how is that not going to happen again? Even if we get through this circumstantial evidence, remember, we don't even know how he killed her. We have no idea. It's only what he's saying. He's saying he strangled her and then the dismembering was allegedly, and then the dismembering was post-mortem. But we have no proof. There is going to be no viscera. There's going to be no evidence of body fluids or anything of that sort to indicate what he exactly did to her. I mean, it's horrific, the kind of things he's done to the body. And one doesn't even know if he did it while she was alive. And the kind of information that is being revealed by her friends of him burning, putting cigarettes out on her body and that kind of sadistic kind of treatment of her, it's shattering. And the fear is that the way our legal system, and in this I include the procedural, which is the police, as well as the judicial, the way it is structured is that women are being completely and repeatedly failed by the system over and over again. You mentioned the Gulati case. That man is out on bail.
Well, all we can tell you, Advaita Kala, look, I don't know about this cigarette business, because let me be very honest with you, one channel that is very unreliable when it comes to reporting anything has put this out. And I find it very strange that the friends didn't talk about this on day one, have not told the parents about this all this while. So, we can sensationalize, we can catch hold of one or two people who might even be headline hunting, and they all pretend to be purportedly best friends with Shraddha today. But if they were so concerned, if they were so visible, these signs, why did they keep quiet for all these years? Now, I don't know the reason, viewers, but if you're seeing your friend brutalized, either you would have gone to the police yourself or you would have gone to the parents. And quite frankly, if the parents knew, why didn't they act? So let's for a moment just set aside all this other garbage, to be honest, that certain channels are putting out. Let's stick with what we know. We are being told, allegedly, that this statement has been recorded under section 161 of the CRPC. It has no value. Now, exactly, and I want to bring in Mr. Memon, Zulfikar Memon. This under section 161 of the CRPC is not even admissible as evidence, sir. We know this.
Yes, Rahul, it's a fact that the statements recorded before the police is not admissible before law. So eventually the statement will have to be recorded under 164 before the magistrate. But I'll come back to that. But in the meantime, I just wanted to comment on a few things that I've heard the panelists speak here. See, in my opinion, this is going to be one of the classic cases which we all agree where forensics is going to play a very vital role. I mean, it's very evident. As far as the investigation collection of evidence is concerned, it will not be appropriate at this stage to conclude whether there was a delay by Maharashtra police or how the Delhi police is not doing its job or, all of these things. As I had mentioned to your channel earlier, this is an extremely challenging and a very sensitive case to investigate. The Delhi police, according to me and is my opinion, has a massive challenge on their hands, and I think they're doing a good job. The narration, what they have received from the accused so far, has led to successfully so far discovering certain parts of the body of the victim, coupled with blood stains in the kitchen of the apartment, and I'm sure that the DNA test which is being conducted, that will connect more dots. So I think the investigation is on track. These pieces of evidence, in my opinion, will lead to 100% conviction. There is another very important aspect here, Rahul. I have been watching all over the news about the police unable to find the knife or the saw which was allegedly used to chop her body. Now, in my opinion, this may be a very important piece of evidence, but not the most crucial, because as far as what we have seen so far, that is not the murder weapon. And this is, I'm saying, from what is available in the public domain. In a criminal trial, a murder weapon is a very important piece of evidence. In this case, it has been discovered so far, from what we understand, is that the accused was murdered. The accused has murdered Shraddha by strangulating her. And then the knife was used to cut her body and destroy the evidence.
See, that's the problem. But this is all
but having said
hearsay
that,
for now. This is
but we are relying our opinion based on whatever is available.
Because it's a cold-blooded, premeditated murder. He has planned it out.
There's no denying that. But
okay, let me tell you, viewers, just very quickly, let's go step by step. 1 second. I don't think we needed to interrupt Mr. Memon, but just 1 second, step by step. Viewers, first of all, we're all hoping that this case is solved. Really. We are hoping against hope that this is solved sooner than later. And this, if this gentleman is guilty, he will lose the right even to be called one. Let me tell you. Many monikers will have to be coined. Because if any of this is true, this person shares absolutely no connection with any other human being. You do not act in this manner if you are a sensitized, sensitive, and most importantly, viewers, rational human being.
But Rahul, there is a very important point I want to make regarding this, what we are repeatedly saying on every forum, that, this is an act of a deranged person and all of that. And I'll tell you why it is dangerous. And I'll tell you why it's dangerous. Hear me out. Because here is my concern, which is going to now follow in the next few days that we are going to see. Up till now, we are seeing one side of the story. But my concern comes here. My concern is now the accused's stance has not come out yet, because we don't know who is his lawyer and who is representing him, because once he is lawyered up, and if he doesn't have a lawyer, you know that the state will have to provide him with one lawyer. And at that point of time, the state's given lawyer will have to do the unfortunate job of preparing his defense, unless he confesses to his crime before the trial court, which is highly unlikely. My concern is when his lawyer will take the typical stance of him being of unsound mind, and he did this because he was mentally unstable. Because, by the way, what we are hearing, again, relying on what is there in the public domain, it's going towards that direction of having food and her chopped body in the refrigerator at the same time. And all of these things are pointing out to a direction which is very dangerous from where I see. Because what we really want is that the mens rea, the intention, the premeditated, cold-blooded murder that was committed needs to be demonstrated, and he has to be convicted. Nothing less than capital punishment.
Okay, nothing less than capital punishment. Tehseen Punala, you're raising your hand. Yes.
I want the maximum sentence for this chap. There is no doubt. I'm coming from that position. But let me play the devil's advocate only to show you so far the Delhi police has not done a great job. Please allow me to do that. One, so far this confession has no value, as Mr. Zulfikar rightly said, under 161. So it has to go under 164. The minute Aaftab has a lawyer, the lawyer will forbid him from doing under 164. And I disagree with Mr. Zulfikar. The minute he has a lawyer, that's his right to defense. That is something the great constitution of this great country provides. So even then he will still have a right to defense. He will get a lawyer. Mr. Zulfikar, of course, and then he will have a right to defense even after confession, as hypothetically under 164. So let's agree on that. So he will have a right to defense. Now, what happens in such a case? Unless you don't have these recoveries under section 27 of the Indian Evidence Act, and collaborated with the forensic evidence, even these recoveries do not stand up to complete scrutiny. If your aim is to lock him up, he's already locked up, you'll get a conviction. I'm not disputing that. To that extent, I agree. For maximum conviction, you'll have to connect the dots. That so far has not happened. Now, allow me to demonstrate why. Let's assume I'm playing the devil's advocate. He'll say, yes, these recoveries happen, but these police have put these recoveries on me. I am not the one who's led them. Well, they are hand in glove. He'll play any defense. So ultimately, unless you don't collaborate that recovery with tangible forensic evidence, hair, skin, the demonstration of violence before, the friend statements that have come out to be demonstrated as to why they did not come out, a watertight case. I am sorry, Advaita is right. You are staring at somebody who will then walk up after 15 years, and that is
but Tehseen, give the Delhi police some time.
Will happen.
You have to give the Delhi police some time. They are going in that direction. I'm sure they will connect the dots.
I'm sure they're going in that direction.
It is too early. As I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a classic case which is going to be dominated by forensic evidence.
But please understand, the drug agency,
forensic evidence is going to play the most important
case,
role.
And a rubbish channel in our great Republic of Nonsense, who follows the Republic of Nonsense, accused a star kid of being a drug peddler. And you know the courts threw it out, the High Court threw it out. They had all evidences, they had evidences from the friends. You know in the Sushant case, what they did, again the courts threw it out. So you've had this, especially in the Republic of Nonsense, coming out with lies. Well, so we got to be very careful.
Look, on a very facetious note, Tehseen Poonawalla, there is a AAP legislator who asked your brother if you're related to the Poonawallas.
He should sue him. He should take him to court.
Yes,
I've said this.
You
not just take him to court.
He
should take him to a court in Mumbai or Pune because
viewers, this is what I'm saying. You see, in this particular case, everyone is adding their two little nothing bits. And this is where the biggest problem is. Ujjwal Nikamji, this is where the problem is. One channel is saying that, oh, cigarette butts, this, that. Huge number of friends have suddenly appeared on the scene. All these friends, Advaita Kala didn't care about Shraddha. 3 months, 4 months passed. They tried to contact her. They claim she didn't respond. None of them did anything about it except for one friend. And let me tell you, viewers, it's not as if the Walkars, this is Shraddha's family, are not apprehensive. This is what Vikas Walkar told us. He says he believes that the delay in cracking the case, this alleged time that has passed, may provide an escape route to the accused. This is what the family believes. They would perhaps be the most informed about what is going on as far as the probe is concerned. Let's listen in to Vikas Walkar, who spoke to Times Now.
तो दिल्ली पुलिस की जो जांच है सर, आप उससे संतुष्ट हैं? महाराष्ट्र पुलिस ने क्या एक्शन लिया था सर स्टार्टिंग में?
उन्होंने खाली इन्वेस्टिगेशन किया।
अच्छा।
हाँ, जो पुलिस की तरफ से जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन होता है, सीडीआर निकाल के कोशिश की, लेकिन तो 1 महीने से भी ज्यादा लग गया, लेकिन उन्होंने कुछ फाइनल रिजल्ट नहीं निकाला। तो उसके बाद उन्होंने फिर बोले कि ये लास्ट लोकेशन श्रद्धा का दिल्ली में दिख रहा है, तो इसलिए हम लोग शायद दिल्ली में ट्रांसफर करेंगे। तो मैंने बोला आप क्यों नहीं कर सकते ये सब काम? तो बोले नहीं, वो उनके लिए इजी हो जाएगा।
Now viewers, let's go back to the professionals for 30-second responses from each one of them. Let me begin once again with Ujjwal Nikam. Mr. Nikam, what is the one bit of evidence that you are looking forward to that will prove to you that the case is going in the right direction?
Rahul, let me tell you very fairly that we need not discuss the minutes of the so far investigation of Delhi police because that hampers the investigation, number one.
Okay.
Number two, I am very optimistic that Delhi police is now having some bad past experience. They are now proceeding on a very proper track. Number three, so far as the news on the other channel about the certain persons showing on the channel, that has no meaning, absolutely no meaning. Number four, narco test has no legally admissible evidence, so we should forget that police only carried out, and Mr. Azad will agree, just to find out whether accused is disclosing the truth or they're investigating on the proper track or not. What I find in this particular matter, number one is of the motive. That is very crucial in the circumstantial evidence.
Okay.
Police will require to find out what is the exact motive. Number two, for that they have to collect the friends of Shraddha, friends of the accused Aaftab, and they will try to collect the evidence actually what accused had prompted to kill Shraddha. Number two is about recovery of the weapon. According to me, it's not a very important in the present case. Corpus delicti also is not an important. Once the police will find that particular human body part was recovered at the instance of accused under Section 27 of the Evidence Act, then the burden of proof shifts automatically on the person of the accused.
Okay.
Number 3, whatever the stains that were found in the freeze of Aaftab by the forensic expert, that is again a very crucial evidence. Now, so far as the collection of the DNA sample, you see how the police collect the DNA sample, how the forensic expert is an expert in collecting the sample, that is a very crucial test. And I think we have to give some scope to the Delhi police.
Okay. Mr. Azad, what's the one bit of evidence that could prove the clincher?
The clincher is, of course, the DNA sample, which I'm expecting to be positive, absolutely. Number 2 is this overwhelming circumstantial evidence, which can be, right from the place where the time when they moved into a particular place to the friends who were talking about last seen with this particular gentleman. And the third is the mens rea, the criminal intent, by using all kinds of things to obliterate the evidence. And I'm sure Delhi police will crack it, and this law will be convicted.
Fingers crossed. Mr. Memon, very quickly, sir.
Rahul, after what Mr. Nikam has said and what Mr. Azad has said, there is nothing left to say. I think this is exactly what we are all waiting for. My bit will be that the blood samples, the blood stains which were found in the kitchen, if that matches with Shraddha, and if the DNA samples come together, as I mentioned earlier, this is an entire case which is going to revolve around forensic expertise. So that's what we wait for.
Sir, very quickly.
Along with the forensic expertise, the circumstantial evidence will have to be matched with the timing of the murder, and you'll have to prove it. This was the vehicle, this is how we get. All of that will have to be proved. They have to be collaborated.
Well, viewers, incidents are happening all around us. Shraddha has lost her life. Others are in peril also. And I want to move on, but continue in the thread, viewers. While Shraddha's grisly murder